Now that we've got the cat moving and the birds are all there, we need to put a barrier into here and also the portal into here as we marked on our plan. The only other problem is when we move our cat, it is going through the walls. So the first thing we need to do is set up a collision with the walls from the cat. So if we get back our menus and we go to our object, the cat, we can actually put in, where's our cat here? We can put in a collision with the wall. So this is here. So we actually add an event, go to collision with the wall, and that appears here in our collision with the wall. What do we want to happen? Well, we want to actually set the speed as 0. So if I just get rid of those menus there, we go to our movement, which is down a bit further. Oh, missed it. And we can put the speed in here. So we set speed, click that. That's what comes up here. We don't need to worry about a direction, but we set the speed as 0. In other words, when it hits the wall, it stops. And that effectively makes the wall impenetrable by the cat. So that's our next step. So we've done that, and that means that the cat will not go through the walls. So if we have a quick look at that, just close that, and run it, we can see now that the cat cannot go through the walls. Now you'll notice when I went over the bird, a couple of things happened. The bird disappeared and also a whistle occurred. So let's have a look how we've done that. Get our menus back. They don't appear, just use the double arrows to push them in and they'll appear again on your screen. Just a reminder too, you can use the zoom in, zoom out to see more or less of your screen as well. The next thing we have to do is a cat. What happens to the cat when it collides with the bird? Well, here it is here. And so what we've done here, and again, I'll just get rid of the menus, is the first thing that we've done is I'll get that menu back there, thank you, is destroy the instance. Now, when the cat and the bird collide, and we're doing it in terms of the cat, then the bird is the other object in the collision. Cat's one object, the bird is the other. So when we go to destroy instance, we select other. Don't select the bird, otherwise all the birds will disappear in the first collision. Just set the other and it will only delete the instance of that bird, not all the birds on the page or on the level or room. So there we go, destroyed the instance. Now also play audio. What I've done here, and I'll just bring these back for a sec, is I've actually gone up to sounds, right click and gone create a sound, and I can actually create a sound. Now I've already done one here, so we'll just delete that. Yep, get rid of sound too. Let's have a look at sound, and you can see here I've picked up a file and I've called it sound bird, SND bird. And I've got that from the resources that I've asked you to download. Many of those folders will have a heap of sounds, and you can add one of those. To this, I've added a bird sound, and the sound is this one. So let's have a look now. Come back to our cat. And you can see here that I've got cat. We'll just close this other window for a moment. And that one. All right, we'll come back again. I'll just get rid of that menu. Destroy instance, play audio. So it's picked up that sound and all it does is play it. And also I'm going to add 10 to the score. And we'll talk about this quite a bit later. But this adds 10 to the score. I've done it relative because then it keeps adding 10 to the score. It doesn't just say 10 and then put another 10, but it doesn't add it to it. So the relative makes sure that you keep adding 10 and build up the score of how many birds you collect. So that's how to collect the birds, play the audio, and add 10 to the score at the same time. Now, the other thing we want to do is that as we collect the birds, when all the birds have disappeared, we want that to be the trigger that will get rid of the barrier in front of the portal. So we need to do this, but we need to use something else. And in fact, the event that we need to choose is the step event. What that means is each step of the program, which is about, I think, 15 milliseconds, each 15 milliseconds, it checks the step. So let's have a look what we've done with the step. And remember, we have to do this in the cat. The reason why we have to do this in the cat is that you're counting the number of birds. If all the birds disappear, then this instance count disappears as well. So you want it to be in an object that remains on the screen, not one that disappears. So we want the object count, we want it of, as we've said, the bird. So we've got that as the bird. And there's our object is the bird. So we've selected that from our objects, bird. And then we're going to make a variable called bird count. Now, then we do a test. If this is basically saying if the bird count is less than 1, destroy the instance. But destroy the instance of what? Well, it's destroy the instance of the bird. Sorry, destroy the instance of the barrier. This time we click the actual picture of the barrier because we want both of those boxes to disappear at the same time. If we only wanted one of them, then in a collision it would normally be, or anyone else it'd be the other or something like that. But in this case, we want both boxes to disappear. So if that variable count, bird count, is less than 1, then we destroy the instance of the barriers, which are the boxes. One other thing is that, let's just have a look back here. Our cat events, under variable definitions rather, you'll notice that I've actually added a variable definition here. So I can add, which I did, I called it bird count. I set the start value as 0. So you need to make sure you've set up your variable definition if you're going to use it later in the step count. Otherwise, it'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. So do your variable definition first, add that, and then in your step count, use your variable to test whether there is, in this case, we're counting the number of birds and putting that in the variable. And if it's less than 1, then we want to get rid of the barrier. And that's how to get rid of the barrier. All right, the next step is finally our object portal. Now, once the barrier disappears, we'll be looking at getting rid of, rather using the portal to move to the next level. And that will be in the next video. So let's have a quick look and just see how this works. So we run the game again. And that's not right. Now, before we actually run the game, we need to just put our barrier in. So I'm dragging the barrier. So there's our barrier set up. And we also need to put our portal in as per our design. So there we are all set up. Now, if I play the game, what should happen now is that when I've picked up all the birds, the barrier disappears and I can move to the portal, and then we show you how to set up the portal in the next video. Okay, I've got to the final point where I've got one bird left, so I move, let's try this again, move it down, cross, and look, the barrier disappears. Now our next step will be going toward the portal here, and it will take us to the next room.